So if you follow me on Twitter or even kind of like pay attention on my channel, you may have noticed that I have a lot of unpopular opinions about a lot of things, really, but especially about Pokemon. In fact, around the time that Sun and Moon was coming out, I decided I would go ahead and go through and list as many unpopular opinions about Pokemon as I had, and the list came out somewhere close to about 100 different unpopular opinions that I still hold to this day. So I figured, why not turn it into a little series for the channel? So welcome to the first episode of Unpopular Pokepinions. That title is pending because that was just the first thing I could think of. Basically what's going to happen is I'm going to talk about 5 of my unpopular Pokemon opinions, and I don't know, just kind of let you guys be mad at me in the comments or something? Maybe. I guess that's kind of the goal, is just to see if I can incite a little anger out of people. Or maybe some of you share the opinions that I have, which would be pretty cool to see, because I feel like I'm really alone on some of these opinions. And remember, yes, it's in the title. These are my unpopular opinions, so don't take them as fact. I'm not stating any of this as fact. I'm just stating this all as my opinion. If you don't like it, you can tell me in the comments, because that brings my engagement up, and then you'll help me out and you'll help me pay my bills. So like, you know, if you get angry at me, just be sure to leave a comment, you know. But with that out of the way, here's opinion number 1. I do not like Scizor. I am fully aware that this is a lot of people's like favorite bug type, right next to like Heracross and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, Scizor as a Pokemon is okay. It's fine. It's a red bug with pinchy hands. It's got the clamps. But my problem with Scizor comes with the fact that it's not even really an evolution, if you think about it. When you think of an evolution in Pokemon, for the most part, you think of a creature turning into like a bigger, better version of the creature with better stats. But let's consider the way that Scyther evolves into Scizor. Scyther holds the metal coat, trades, gets coated in metal, and becomes a Scizor. And that's where my first problem lies. When you take a Pokemon and you coat it in metal, it should look like the Pokemon coated in metal. If you look at a comparison between Onix and Steelix, Steelix is very clearly an Onix that is covered in metal. Some spikes are added for added edginess and whatnot, but overall, if you were to take an Onix and literally coat it in metal, it would pretty much look like a Steelix. That's kind of not the case with Scizor. Metal normally isn't red unless you paint it, and if they wanted to even like allude to the metalness with the shiny form, they wouldn't have made it green? I know there was like limited color palettes and whatever, but there were gray shinies back in the day, so you can't even give me that. But the biggest problem is with the claws. Why are they claws? Scyther has scythes for hands, has like these blades on his arms. If you coated those in metal, they would just turn into metal blades. Why do the metal blades turn into pinchy hands? It doesn't make any sense. Also, when Scyther evolves into Scizor, its base stat total doesn't change at all. They just kind of move around some stats. Why? Why would you take a Pokemon and evolve it, but you don't give it a higher base stat total? You just switch some stuff around. Evolve it! Make it actually stronger! Like I said, definitely not making any friends with that one. Opinion number 2. Inanimate object Pokemon are some of the most well-designed Pokemon in the game. I know there are a lot of people with really strong feelings about inanimate object Pokemon. They say it takes no creativity, it's just a thing with eyes. And to that I say, you're wrong. You see, the thing is, any idiot or like 12-year-old on DeviantArt can take an animal and then slap some anime eyes on it, add like maybe one elemental thing to it, and boom, you've got a Pokemon. You take a lizard, you slap some anime eyes on it, flame on the tail because it's a fire type, boom, a Pokemon. You take a turtle, you slap some anime eyes on it, put a twig on its head, boom, Pokemon. It takes a lot of ingenuity and inspiration to take something that is not living and turn it into a living creature. Vanillite is a perfect example of this. A lot of people do not like Vanillite because it's ice cream. Why would they make an ice cream Pokemon? And sure, On the surface, it's basically just an ice cream Pokemon. The name even alludes to it. It's supposed to be just an ice cream thing, but there's like so much more to it in the fact that it's not actually ice cream. It just looks like ice cream. It's actually like a weird icicle creature with like snow piled on its head. It's not actually supposed to be ice cream. It's just supposed to present as ice cream. Somebody had to take ice cream and then turn it into a living thing without it just being living ice cream. So the formula of just take eyes and put it on a thing does not apply. And what's even more proof of Vanillite's inspiration is the fact that it comes from Unova, which is based on New York City. And if you didn't know, New York City is where ice cream cones were invented. That's where they were patented. New York City is the birthplace of the ice cream cone. So why in the world would they not have an ice cream cone looking icicle Pokemon? Of course, it makes so much more sense than people give it credit for. So yeah, inanimate object Pokemon are the most inspired Pokemon out of all Pokemon, if you really think about it. But you don't want to think about it, do you? Opinion number 3. Hitmontop is the best Hitmon. Don't worry, when I was a kid first playing Red and Blue, I was pretty impressed by Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee. I thought they were pretty cool. They were super rare, they were super strong, you know? There was a lot of hype around them. But then when Generation 2 was rolling around and we found out that we were getting Hitmontop, I was like, whoa, that's cool. He's like a breakdancer fighter thingy. And then you learn that his fighting style is based on capoeira, which is doing all these like flips and shit and kicking stuff, and it's so cool. It's way cooler than just kickboxing or regular boxing. You couldn't see when I said kickboxing, I was kicking my foot under my desk. I guess I couldn't really visually do that. Also, I'm not wearing shoes, so I'm not gonna show my feet. But you get the idea. The martial art that Hitmontop is based on is like way cooler than Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan's martial art styles, like by far. Then of course in the same generation that we got Hitmontop, we also got shiny Pokemon. Why did they make Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan green, but then make Hitmontop gray and purple? Gray and purple looks way cooler than green. Like snot gross green. It's disgusting. Ew. No, the purple looks so much cooler. Even Tyrogue's little like blue pants, and also its skin is gray. It's gray with blue pants. Why did that not carry over into like all of the shinies? Hitmonchan has blue boxing gloves, and that's literally it. Hitmontop has the way better looking shiny, and that's not just because it's purple. I don't know if you can tell, I really like purple, okay? Opinion number 4. Sudowoodo is a better roadblock than Snorlax could ever be. And so is Kecleon, to a lesser extent. Snorlax is so boring. It's super boring. You don't even see it until you're about to take on the 3rd gym. It takes forever to get to Snorlax, and the payout is meh. Snorlax is a really boring Pokemon, if you ask me. It's just fat. That's its thing. It's fat. Oh, how interesting. It's super fat, so it sleeps and eats. I do that too. No one thinks I'm interesting. Meanwhile, Generation 2 rolls around. You're not even doing the first gym yet. You're exploring around, and boom, you can see Sudowoodo right over to the west of the gym town. Not to mention, Sudowoodo is way cuter, like way cuter, and also their babies in Generation 4, Bonsly. What? Bonsly's way cuter than Munchlax. I'm not gonna make any friends with that, and that technically counts as another unpopular opinion. So I guess there's 6 in this video. Bonsly is cuter than Munchlax, okay? I'm just gonna say it, alright? Not to mention, whenever you interact with the Snorlax in Kanto, in both Generation 1 and 3, whenever you interact with it, nothing happens. It's just text pops up. This Pokemon is a fat bitch and it's sleeping in your way. Oh no, what are you going to do? You don't get any of that with Sudowoodo, okay? You click on it and it just does that. And it's so cute. It dances for you. It's like, and you're like, yes, that's adorable. This thing is alive. It's definitely not a dead Pokemon in the road like Snorlax maybe could have been. And yeah, like I said, even Kecleon, to a slightly less extent than Sudowoodo, is better than Snorlax. It appears way later in the game and it's only on a select couple of routes, but it's invisible, So the first time you're playing Ruby and Sapphire or Emerald, there's just something in the way and you don't even know what it is. And you're like, why? Why can I not go down to the gym right now? This doesn't make any sense. So then you explore and you meet, what's his name? Steven. And he gives you the gog. And then boom, you're like, you're just minding your own business and suddenly, boo, 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 you can't walk forward. And you're like, why can't I walk forward? Oh yeah, because there's a super cool invisible Pokemon in front of me that's way better than Snorlax in every way, shape, or form. And finally, opinion number 5, and I'm saving the most hurtful one for last. Pokemon the Movie 2000 is the worst Pokemon movie in the entire movie franchise. Reason number 1 that this movie is fucking awful. It follows the "you're the chosen one" narrative. That is the laziest cop-out for good writing I have ever heard. Oh, but Speqtor, it's a kid's movie. It's not supposed to have good writing. And yet, the movie that came right before it had pretty decent writing. You know, between like expanding on the story about Mew and Mewtwo, and Ash journeying to the island with a bunch of other trainers, and not being the chosen one, just being the one with enough balls to stand up to Mewtwo and unite all of these Pokemon. Then you have the third movie that came after it, and there's this whole thing with the Unknown that we didn't get in the Generation 2 games, where they're like making all of these illusions. They make like an illusion Entei that serves as Molly's dad because he's like trapped in the realm of the unknown, and she like misses her mom, and there's all this like story stuff like building on top of each other, and Ash isn't the chosen one. He's just there at the right place, right time, and he helps out. And there's the super awesome battle with the Charizard and the Entei. I don't like Charizard, but that's still a really awesome fight to see. It is so cool, and it is a really, really, really good movie. So why is it that the movie that fell between those is like so weak in its narrative? Oh, you just happen to be the chosen one. You just happen to show up on our island, and you so happen to be the chosen one. By the way, go get orbs, do a fetch quest, lol, go get these 3 orbs. Also, there's all these legendaries. That's another thing, is that there's a lot of Pokemon in it. I know it's a Pokemon movie, but here's the thing. You can tell very easily that they were like trying to force Pokemon, as many Pokemon as possible, into this movie. They do that in a lot of movies, but like, let's take the first and the third movie surrounding it just as an example right now, okay? In the first movie, Ash and a bunch of really strong trainers are invited by Mewtwo to come to the island and fight. There's like a competition basically going on. That is a good reason for there to be that many Pokemon, because there's a competition led by a literal legendary Pokemon. That makes sense. That's cool. In the third movie, they have a lot of Pokemon, but they do it in the form of like, you know, you have to battle all of these different ages of Molly to like get to Entei. Like that's what's going on there. So that's a really good way to showcase as many Pokemon as you can. And even then, they don't showcase too many there, you know? In the second movie, hundreds of thousands of Pokemon decide to gather in the same area as Lugia because they want to watch. They don't fight Lugia. They don't do any of that. They just sit there. They're just there to... Why are they just there to watch? What is the purpose of the Pokemon showing up in the second movie, besides for them to have an excuse to show as many Pokemon as they can, so that little kids watching go, wow, Pokemon are really cool. Mom, go buy me a toy. And they can sell merch. That's literally the only reason they did it. And lastly, I find the whole, like, alluding to Misty being in love with Ash or whatever, I find it, I don't, for lack of a better term, cringy. So yeah, of course, they like mildly hint at it in the anime, like sometimes. But when they got to this movie, they just like, they laid it on. They were just like, oh, Ash is your boyfriend? He's not my boyfriend. I really care for Ash. Oh, Ash. It was stupid and forced. It was gross. I didn't like it. even as a kid, with me like even mildly shipping Misty with Ash, like it still just felt like weird and awkward and forced, and I didn't like it. I don't know, man. The story's not great. The amount of Pokemon they show is not great. The Misty with Ash thing, not great. That whole movie just was not very good, which makes me sad because that was the only movie I ever saw in one of those drive-in movie theaters that they don't have anywhere really anymore. Then we also watched Me, Myself, and Irene, but I was supposed to be sleeping at that point. But my mom and her boyfriend only thought I was sleeping, but I watched that movie. Either way, Pokemon the Movie 2000, fucking awful. And those were 5 unpopular Pokemon opinions. Do you agree with me? Most of you probably won't, and you're probably going to let me know in the comments. But if you do agree with me, let me know in the comments. Also, leave a like. Leave a like regardless of whether you agree with me, okay? The likes really help, all right? I've got bills to pay. Please, I'm desperate. Remember to punch the fuck out of that subscribe button, and also follow me over on Twitter and on Twitch, where I play Pokemon and Zelda and Minecraft and anything I feel like playing, and sometimes we don't feel like playing, and we just sit back with a couple of brewskis and chit chat. So follow me on both those things, subscribe, like, all that stuff, and I'll see you guys in another video. Bye.